Okay. So I was hoping to have a demo running, but all right, looks great. So if anybody wants to follow along with what I'm doing, you guys can go to Enliken.com in Chrome or Firefox. Doesn't work so great, but go in Chrome, hit install now, and you can follow along with the demo. So the premise behind Enliken is that we think that individuals should have control of the data that advertisers use to target them with ads. So we've built a couple products on top of our platform. The first one we built and launched about 8 months ago, allowing nonprofits to accept data as a donation. So you get an email from somebody like Autism Speaks, the Red Cross, and they would say, please install Enliken, and you can donate your data to our cause. What would happen then is they would install our little browser app, and then it would pretty much look for what you're shopping for and what kind of brands you've engaged with online. By using Twitter and using Amazon, and looks for like basically your intent data, which we think is the most valuable data to advertisers. So I don't know if you can bring that up. If you can switch to the first tab there on the right. Close. So anybody that's following along, if you hit install now, it goes through a process. This is actually the second product that I'm going to demo today. So the first product was for nonprofits. It allows you to basically donate the value of your data to the cause. And we built a platform to monetize first-party data. The second product that we built is the one that you'll see at Enliken.com, and that allows you to see what data aggregators like Nugad and BlueKai and Xslate, what the information they have about you. There's a little button at the bottom that allows you to enable Enliken, and then start basically building your own profile, and then you can click a button, donate the proceeds of that to charity. Can we bring that up? No. So a couple things about the product. A lot of people say, is this is the nonprofit going to be tracking you, or is this a privacy invasion? One of the things that we do is in the little browser app that you download, we have a really, really restrictive whitelist. That whitelist consists of about 5,000 products that you're shopping for, or that you might be shopping for, and about 100 brands that you might be following on Twitter. The premise being that these are the things that advertisers are really interested in. Today, a lot of behavioral advertising is driven from demographic or psychographic data. The other day, I went to BlueKai to look what they had on me, and it said that I was a feeler and that I was emotional. And I was wondering what advertisers would be interested in advertising to an emotional feeler, and wouldn't they rather be advertising to somebody that was in market for an iPhone or Nike shoes? And the reason that behavioral advertisers use psychographic and demographic data is because it's an analog for your intent data. Your intent data is the data about about products that you intend to buy, or brands that you have affinity towards. So basically, we allow you to use our software to build a profile of your intent data and your affinity data. We monetize it on your behalf by selling it to advertisers. We think advertisers would prefer to buy data directly from you. The advertisers that I've worked with in the past definitely show that preference. And they would also prefer to buy intent data. And intent data is, like I said, it's the stuff that you're shopping for and the brands you have affinity towards. So it looks like we're not going to be able to bring that up. But as we continue to build our product out, we're going to build new ways or new reasons for people to monetize our data. We really think that our job at Enliken is to find people's motivations for selling the information they feel comfortable sharing with advertisers. So the first product we built was to allow people to donate the proceeds to a nonprofit. The second product we built was to allow people to see the data that advertisers have about them. And then we're going to go down the line. The third product that we're working on now, it's sort of in the nascent stages, is to allow people to pay for content with data. So so instead of, I'm sure you're all familiar with the concept of a paywall when you show up at a publisher site and they say, please pay us with your credit cards so that you can consume our content. The idea with the next product is that they will say, please pay us with your data so that you can consume our content. So instead of filling out a long form with 10 fields in it, you'll just one click, you'll install Enliken, and you'll be paying for that content with your data. So it's really, really, really easy. So I think that's probably it. I can start to take questions, or I don't know if there's any way to get the product up. No. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Does everybody want to sell their data? I mean, in the long run, one of the things that we're really built on is that we think the best way to move the internet to a privacy-friendly place and to an opt-in place is via the free market. We don't really believe in do not track. We don't believe in blocking cookies, and we don't believe in sort of other regulatory ways to enforce opt-in. Go ahead.
Actually, I have a question about the data value model that you have. You certainly have some kind of pricing behind that.
Mm-hmm.
If you just could sketch it, how you approach that?
What the data is worth?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Okay.
But, I mean. No, it's really, so what we do is we go out and sell the data on your behalf to ad networks, to basically the same consumers of third-party data now. The last company I started was a company called SpongeCell. We made banner ads, and all of the ad networks were using our banner ads. And so it's the same guys that we're selling the data to. So I went to them and said, hey guys, wouldn't you rather buy data directly from individuals? And they said, absolutely, that'd be great. Can you make that happen? And we said, well, we're working on it. I said, so what do you think it's worth? And they said, it's probably worth about $1 a user a month. So that's really our starting point. We think that data is worth much, much more than that. There's a couple ways that you can start to calculate the value of your own data. You can look at how much money you spend online every month. If you shop a lot on Amazon, if you buy a lot of travel online, you can start to think about the fact that maybe the data that powers that is worth 1 to 5% of your purchases online. But it's really an unknown. In the States, there's $750 spent per person advertising per year, and typically online, an ad buy, the data will be about 20%. So maybe it's $100 a year in the long run. So what I was saying before is moving to an opt-in internet. We don't really believe in, we think legislation is great. We don't believe in opt-out or in do not track. We don't believe in things like disconnect me and A-bind where they block cookies. We think that that's sort of detrimental to the whole advertising ecosystem. What we want to do is figure out a way to move the internet to a place where only the information that you want shared is shared. And we think the best way to do that is to allow individuals to compete with the third-party data aggregators and the people like Axicom and the people like BlueKai who are gathering your data now and selling it. So what we do is we allow you to enter that same marketplace using cookies and syncing cookies with advertisers and ad networks. We allow you to compete with them. And there's no question in my mind, or the people that I'm talking to, that the data that you can provide as individuals is better than data that somebody else can gather by watching you.
If I see it right, what you're doing just now is selling my data wholesale. It's just the whole package of data about me, and I, as a consumer, wouldn't know in the end who might use it. Do you plan to make it more granular, for example, so I could decide certain packages or certain attributes which some might see and others not, to allow me even more control and freedom over the usage of my data? For example, to even more easily assess the value of the data which I give away, because some of the attributes might have less value than others, for example, like simple demographics or the intent to buy a house in the next half year might be something very valuable, much more valuable than the fact that I'm a man.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great example of where intent data is worth more than demographic data. But in terms of giving you control for anybody who's gone through the process of installing Enliken or installing the product that lets you view third-party data and then enabling Enliken, what you'll start to see is a dashboard that fills up with your intent data, and you can control it. There's two things you can do. You can either X out one of the attributes that we've gathered, or you can give it a star, and that star basically says, I'm really interested in this specific attribute. So we see ourselves as, to use an older term, an infomediary, and so what can I keep talking? So an infomediary basically acts as an agent for individuals. So we are building software for individuals to compete in the data marketplace. So everything that individuals want, we want to provide to them. The most important thing in my experience building software is to make it as simple as possible. So we start at a very, very basic level, which is here's the information other people have about you, and here's the information that we're gathering, on your behalf to sell to advertisers. So what you can see on our website, or later on, anybody that's interested in a demo, I can show you. The information that we're gathering is extremely innocuous, because advertisers, if you're an advertiser, you don't want data which could be sort of seen as sketchy, or it could be sort of the beginning of a bad conversation. The example I gave yesterday is that Nike wants to know that you're in market for Nikes and shoes. They don't want to know that you are what your household income is. They don't want to know where you live. They don't want to know your phone number, your email address, or that Blue Kai thinks that you're an emotional feeler. They want to know that you're going to buy a pair of running shoes. So we think that by allowing you to put that data on the market, and that's data that you gather from Amazon, from Kayak, from Orbitz, from Expedia, from a very limited subset of your Google searches, that's this sort of innocuous, anonymous profile that we help you build. Any other questions?
I have a question, Marc, here. So at the end of the day, you want to sell advertising, right? So like you did before with your company, and advertising is all about scale. Mm-hmm. How will you solve the problem that in an already fragmented market, you will have a hard time, getting, I would say, 1 or 5% of the audience an advertiser intends to look at or show his ads to, because not enough people will engage with your product in the beginning.
Right. So in the short term, I don't think that we will. In the short term, I don't think we're ever going to compromise an advertiser's entire data budget. We'll just be the best part of it. It's just like an ad buy. They go around to several different ad networks and they buy several different sets of IOs. So I think it's a gradual thing. As we move along, we'll start to capture more of the market. As we build more products on top of our platform that sort of address more people's desires to monetize their data, we'll capture more of the market. But yeah, I mean, that is our challenge as a company, is scale.
So have you any experience with user acceptance? Because it seems to me like you really need a certain critical amount of people using your product for your business model to work.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the key problem that we're facing. And every day when we go to work at Enliken, what we say is, how can we provide somebody with the motivation to use our software? And we really think that access to content is very promising. We thought that nonprofits are not messaging as much as we thought they would. They're worried about the impact on their brand, being seen as spies. So that's our problem. That's what we've built this software. We understand the advertising market, we think, as well as most people do. We understand it really well, how to monetize data. We've built software that helps people sort of see the data that they're going to be selling. Now it's about getting adoption. And we have done a bunch of sort of user testing, and it's really getting people over that first hump, which is your data is being sold today, without scaring them. So that was the impetus behind building the product that you see at Enliken.com right now. Can I take one more? Thanks.
So yeah, I think it's a great model. There's personal.com and a few others doing this that are trying to move the ball forward. For the privacy question, though, I have a hard time and I'd love to hear your thoughts of advertisers are still going to pixel, they're still going to need to verify ads were delivered, you're still going to have third-party tracking for analytics, and there will still be secondary data available. So you'll have, say, timely data for intent data from you guys, and then some demo data that might also enhance the sale. And so why wouldn't the ecosystem be this data and everything else, including all the third-party add-ons and stuff?
Right. I think that there will definitely always be third-party data. It's just if it's used, it's how it's gathered and how it's used. We think that as people become more educated about how their data is used and about their privacy in general, they're going to show a preference towards websites which don't sell their data. We see this, so we call this privacy as a feature, right? So we see this already with the Microsoft Mail product. They came out and said, we're not going to sell your data. We're not going to use your data to target you with ads. We think more and more people are going to show a preference towards websites that don't sell their data, and we know advertisers are going to show a preference to buying data directly from you as individuals. Nike doesn't want to buy data from somebody who's spying on you. And that's one of the major reasons why you have 2/3 of ad dollars online being DR today and 1/3 of ad dollars being DR offline. It's just the brands don't know how to move online outside of contextual targeting because there's no good, safe data available. First-party data is good. It's safe data. It's a great way to start brand conversations. Great.
Thank you, Marc.
Thanks.